For centuries, gold was the one thing power couldn't fake it didn't, to rust it couldn't. To be printed, it carried the same shine in London, Cairo, or Beijing. It was humanity, its closest thing to truth until governments learned how to steal it from themselves. This is The Financial Historian, where money, power, and history collide when people picture a gold heist. They imagine masks, vaults, and guns, but the greatest gold thefts in history didn't need criminals. They needed politicians. No bullets, no break-ins, just laws and signatures. When a nation steals its own gold, it isn't called theft. It is called policy. To see how this began, go back to the 19th century. The world lived under the gold standard. Every major currency, dollar, pound, franc, was tied to gold. Hold a note and you could trade it for real. Metal money was discipline. You couldn't print what you didn't own. Then war came. Debt exploded governments. Quietly cheated. They printed more paper than gold. They had the illusion began. Vaults stayed shut. People trusted what they couldn't. At sea until trust cracked. War devoured. Gold nations suspended. The gold standard seized private gold. Unpaid citizens in paper vaults. Locked. Metal vanished, not stolen by robbers, taken by governments. Patriotism became cover for confiscation. After the war came collapse. Currencies crumbled. Germany. Asmark became worthless. Savings died overnight. Only gold kept its value. And that made it dangerous. It exposed the lie behind paper leaders. Decided to control that lie. Instead, in 1933, the US faced the Great Depression. President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed Executive Order 60-something anormal. Owning gold became illegal. Americans had to hand it over for 20.67 an ounce refuse and face prison. Months later, Washington revalued gold to $35. The government holdings jumped 70% in value. Citizens lost legally theft disguised as stability. The gold stayed with the government, the paper stayed with the people. By 1944, the US owned 2/3 of the world. Gold Europe was in ruins at Bretton Woods. America created a new order. Every currency would link to the dollar. The dollar would link to gold, fixed at $35 an ounce. The world trusted the system, but trust fades faster than gold. By the 1950s, the US was overspending wars. The space race social programs dollars flowed out gold. Didn't want flow and confidence started to break France. As President Charles de Gaulle saw through the illusion in 1965, he sent a warship to New York. It left loaded with gold. No promises, other nations followed. Tons of US gold sailed away each month to stop the drain. The US and its allies formed the London Gold Pool. They dumped gold on markets to force prices down and defend the 35 peg. It worked for a while. By 1968, the system collapsed. America's gold reserves fell from 20,000 tons to barely $8,000. The vaults were bleeding. On August 15, 1971, President Nixon went on TV. He announced that the US would temporarily suspend gold convertibility. That temporary move changed history overnight. Money was no longer metal, it was faith. Nixon's decision ended the Bretton Woods system. The US kept its gold and its global power. The world kept paper backed by nothing. It was the perfect heist executed in broad daylight. With gold gone, the US needed a new anchor. It found oil through deals with Saudi Arabia and OPEC. All oil would be priced in dollars. Every nation now needed dollars for energy. The demand kept the dollar strong. Gold had been replaced by geopolitics paper, ruled again under a new illusion. After 1971, gold was declared irrelevant. Economists called it a barbarous relic. But power never discards what it can control. In the 1990s, Britain ES government, led by Gordon Brown, sold half its gold reserves, nearly 400 tons prices. Crashed, then tripled. Critics called it Brown's bottom. Some said it wasn't. A mistake. They said the sale bailed out major banks that were short on gold, whatever the truth. It marked a shift. The West stopped hoarding gold. It started managing it by the 2000s. New players entered the game. China, Russia, and India began buying gold quietly, not for decoration, for leverage. After the 2008 financial crisis, faith in banks died. Gold returned as insurance. Germany demanded its gold back from the US. The Netherlands, Austria, and others followed. They called it repatriation. It was really mistrust by 2022. Central banks bought over 1,000 tons in a single year. The most in modern history. They weren't just buying jewelry. They were preparing for a reset. Gold is the world's oldest mirror. It reflects trust when nations hoard it. They fear the future when they sell it. They believe they control it. And when they lie about it, they've already lost control. No one knows how much gold the US really holds. The last audit was in 1953. The vaults remain locked. The faith remains blind. Every empire falls when its gold flows out. Spain, Britain, America, maybe next gold doesn't obey policy. It obeys scarcity, and in a world drowning in debt, that makes it dangerous. The great gold heist never ended. It just learned to smile. If this changed how you see history, subscribe money, hide stories. I'll show you where they reburied.